Thank you and welcome to the show today. The topic today is women, W-O-M-E-N, and AIDS. And we're fortunate to have with us Miss CWyatt-Morley, a woman, to deal with this whole question of women and AIDS. And of course, Miss CWyatt-Morley, let me welcome you to the show today and to tell you how delighted we are to have you here.
Thank
you. Our audience might not understand what we meant when we said W-O-M-E-N, because that is the name of your organization, W-O-M-E-N and AIDS. And of course, you are the founder and the executive director. But before we get into the impact that this disease is having upon women, Miss CWyatt-Morley, let me have you to give us some information about your background, your education, your experiences, and some of the things that were important in your life, eventually leading you to found an organization dealing almost exclusively with women and this dreaded disease of AIDS. Let's talk about it from that perspective.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me first of all say thank you so much for allowing me the forum and the opportunity to come and take part in your wonderful, wonderful show. I appreciate that. Again, my name is CWyatt-Morley, and founder and executive director of an organization called Women on Maintaining Education and Nutrition, which gives us the acronym WOMEN. I am originally from Flint, Michigan. Actually came down over 10 years ago to work with in one of the large manufacturing plants here in Middle Tennessee, and have made Tennessee my home and absolutely love Tennessee. My educational background has absolutely nothing to do with AIDS. How I became involved in HIV is I am a person living with AIDS myself. I was diagnosed in 1994, completely devastated with the diagnosis, completely taken aback. I am a woman that was married for an extended period of time, long period of time, and felt that AIDS was not something that would touch my life at all. I was married with 3 children and a house and a mortgage, and like so many others, I thought that AIDS was gay, white, and male, and I didn't fit any of those criteria. So I was completely devastated when the diagnosis was given to me. It destroyed so many aspects of my life so many years ago. And also I had 3 children and still have 3 children, and my youngest was 9 years old at the time. So I was just taken aback, totally devastated by the news. And shortly after my diagnosis, my husband was diagnosed HIV positive as well. So the history, my educational history has actually...
I understand.
Yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, I went to a private dance academy. I spent the first 25 years of my life in dance and theater in West Hartford, Connecticut. And so my education was totally removed. Again, being founder and executive director of Women on Maintaining Education and Nutrition is something that evolved. It is something that transformed. The transformation that occurred in me allowed me the opportunity to give birth to a nonprofit AIDS service organization who specifically targets African Americans and African American females and women alike.
You know, we've heard so much about the devastating impact that this disease is having on the female population, not only in the United States, but worldwide. As a matter of fact, the impact is greater, I think, in some other parts of the world outside of the United States, but it's having a special impact upon women. Let's have you, during the show today, to give our audience as much information, as much statistical information, or however you wish to approach it, about this disease, and to deal almost exclusively with the impact that it is having upon the female.
Yes, yes. It is totally affecting the female population in the United States. You are absolutely right when you say that rates of infection are, you know, just off the charts around the world, especially as everyone, your viewers would be more than aware of what's going on in Africa. But right here at home, right here in the United States, and right here in Tennessee, rates of infection are skyrocketing within the population of women, primarily and specifically within the African American African female population, not to mention sexually transmitted diseases and what those things are doing to women. We are off the charts with rates of infection. Women are 1 in 160 African American females are now in the United States living with this disease, and we have to do something about it. And we do that at my organization, Women on Maintaining Education and Nutrition. Our primary goal is prevention. One of the things that we do a lot is street and community outreach, and I, as founder and executive director, do believe that we make a tremendous impact when we empower women. When, as women are more and more heads of households, women are in control, women are in charge. And when women are in the position to make informed, intelligent decisions, then and only then can they be informed consumers and know that rates of infection are where they are, and know how to protect themselves, and know how to say no in situations that are uncomfortable for them.
You know, one thing that we'd like to do here, and I think it would be appropriate at this point, is to have you to give us some information that we've talked about time and time again, but some of the causes of AIDS. Exactly what are the causes, and how can a person contract this disease? What are some of the causes of it?
Mother-to-child transmission, as everyone is aware, is a mode of transmission. IV drug use, sharing needles, as everyone is aware, is definitely a cause. Is a high cause for the transmission of this disease. Also, another high mode of transmission is heterosexual contact. The disease is no longer gay. The disease is heterosexual, and the disease is African American. Now, the criteria, you do not have to be African American to get this disease. I want to make sure that the viewers definitely understand that. The criteria for this disease is in the name of the disease, which is HIV, and the name, the technical name is human immunodeficiency virus, and the requirement is that you be human. It is, again, devastating the African American community, specifically women. Yes.
And of course, I think you mentioned about a high rate of transmission, and you mentioned something about needles and whatnot. And I say that because I do want you to speak to this whole issue that we have of tattooing and other kinds of marks that are done by needles. And I do understand that there is a tremendous possibility of folks being affected by this disease by such methods and such modes.
Yes, you're absolutely right. When we think of modes of transmission, we think of the needle, you know, dirty needles and that kind of thing. But tattooing, is also a form of transmission. I recommend and suggest to all individuals that if you decide to get a tattoo, because, you know, I'm not here to tell people not to get a tattoo, but if people decide to get a tattoo, it is extremely important that they are there watching those needles be open, because it truly is a mode of transmission, and it can, one individual can become infected, or a group of individuals can become infected from a dirty tattoo needle, as well as sharing of IV drug use needles. That's absolutely right. Absolutely, absolutely. And the viewer needs to be aware of that, that tattooing is truly a mode of transmission, if not careful.
You know, what kind of support do you think that you find for what you're doing in terms of trying to make people much more aware of this as a disease?
There's tremendous support out there. There's tremendous support within the African American community. However, the African American community has been lulled into thinking that someone else is infected, someone else is bothered, someone else is, it's someone else's problem. And though the support is there immensely, the African American people do pay attention to what is going on, but the African American community is also in a great form of denial, because we decide that this disease is gay, it's white, it's, you know, somewhere else. We as a people spend a lot of time deciding that some other modes of transmission, or you shouldn't have done that, or shame on that person, or it's the prostitute, or you know, you had to been shooting drugs, or the white man infiltrated the African American community with this disease, and that kind of thing. And my response to that has always been, we as a people need to pay attention to the fact that the disease is here.
Very good.
Yes.
And of course, let me interrupt here for our first commercial break, after which we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the aspects of this disease. And we'll be back with you following this short commercial break. Director of a program